Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, Place of Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH. Plus, there's nothing's going wrong. You know, it's been a good series of runs. I'm hoping for a little bit more damage on this one, and oh my god, 8.06 will take us there. BNBQ, JNL3, NL. Any seed with NL is blessed from the get-go. Now, admittedly, 50% of our damage essentially comes from Crown of Light. But Crown of Light is like, you ever hear the expression? Of course you have, you're smart people. The rich get richer? That's what Crown of Light is like. Wow! And immediately, despite not having any causative relationship, we get a little bit richer. Sure, why not? Crown of Light gets rendered inert if you take damage. However, the fact that you have such high damage makes it substantially less likely you'll take damage, which means that you're very, very likely to stick with the amount of damage you've already got. So it's just like, I don't want to say that it's a feedback loop, because although that sounds correct, I cannot confirm whether or not that's actually the case, but suffice it to say, I do expect us to not fall below 8.06 damage for a while here. I'll trade a bomb for a key with the added bonus of maybe getting something out of that pot. Excuse me, my son. Okay, you know what? You can sit on the desk. He jumped like straight up on the desk. But you better, you know, you can lay down even, that's fine. But you better freaking not step on the keyboard. He's never had a problem with it, except that sometimes I gotta push his paws over. I don't know, man. You ever have that friend, you know, always gotta one-up you? If you got a story about the time, you know, X happened to you, he's got a story about the time, oh, you think that's something, well, X+1 happened to me one time. You know, you buy a Ford Fiesta, he buys a Ford Focus, you get the general idea. That's Ruka and Tomo. Tomo is a contented individual. He's a zen-like creature. He's living in his box, enjoying life. Ruka is the one-upper. You know what? I bet we can get... Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Just the exact amount that we paid to make it happen. Nice fire rate up as well. Dude, this is a 2-minute XL floor where we went to every single room. Except for the secret rooms, but still. Ruka is that guy. Ruka's the guy that, you know, he's always got to one-up you. Tomo sits in the box. Ruka sleeps on the desk. Yo, we're almost at spun, too. You know what? Let's get a little angel deal action going on here. Seems more interesting. It took forever for him to spawn, man. You know, Tomo sleeps at the side of the bed. Ruka's got to sleep on the bed. Isn't that right, Ruka? Even, he's a very, just jealous individual in the first place. I'm not saying this, here's the thing. I love my son. Greatest creature in the world. Let me just see what this is real quick, because we got... There's moves being made. But it's a bad habit, and I don't know how you get that habit out of an animal. You know, out of a human being, I guess, you know, shame is effective or whatever. But out of an animal, I don't know. But, like, we feed them both the same amount of wet food. Oh, that's so good. Tomo gets the food first, because he needs the food more. I don't think the cats really recognize who gets the food first as a pattern. In the moment, they probably do. But anyway, Tomo gets the food first. When Ruka gets his food, with 3 to 4 seconds later, he doesn't start eating it right away. Instead, he watches Tomo eat for like, I don't know, 10 to 20 seconds. And then eventually, he's like, okay, I guess I'll eat my food. And then when Tomo's done eating... he goes and takes some of Tomo's food. He's not even hungry. Sometimes, rarely, recently, which is nice, but sometimes he'll eat so much of Tomo's food and then just throw it up. It's a bad habit, my son. It's a very bad habit. Now, is Ruka a sweet boy? Oh, absolutely. To us, but to Tomo, he's rude sometimes. You can also see it in the Meow Box episodes if you watch those over on Kate's YouTube channel. youtube.com/Kate Lovely Momo. She's, Ruka's always, you know, we pull the toys out of the Meow Box. It's like a loot crate for cats. You know, Ruka always gets the first toy, so he stops bugging me for 10 seconds. And then, you know, the second toy goes to Tomo, and Ruka goes over and is like, oh, what'd you get? Because I think yours is better than mine. It's not. I know what you get. Ruka likes the toys with the string. Tomo likes the toys that sound a little bit like a garbage bag. You know, they go sh sh sh. Not rattling, but crinkling. I know what y'all like. You both love the catnip. No question about that. Anyway. I'm not ashamed, by the way. NL, you've become that guy that talks about his cats. I don't care, dude. People will say, like, I actually think we'll go for 9-volt and school bags so we can hold one other thing for now, but, people will be like, oh, I hate that old people talk about the weather so much. Oh, is there nothing more interesting in your life you have to talk about the weather? And then, you're like, oh, what do you enjoy talking about? No, almost exclusively the upcoming Star Wars film, The Mandalorian. You know, we all talk about stuff that's interesting to us. And if the weather... It doesn't mean your life's boring if you talk about the weather. At least you're outside. You know what's more boring is when I look on somebody's Twitter account and it's like exclusively angry about petty garbage. Like that's... Show me the person that's angry about the weather, you know? Don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. At least they're out there living, you know what I mean? I was thinking about that today, because like... let me caffeinate first. This is gonna be... I'm going out there on this bit. Daddy's going off. I was thinking about it today, because today was a Star Wars Fest celebration, whatever the heck it's called. They showed the trailer for Star Wars Episode 9. You might be wondering, hey, how do you feel about Star Wars Episode 9? Look, I don't want to go too much into it necessarily because it's tangential to the bit, but I think that unless Poe and Finn get married, the filmmakers are cowards. But there is, you know, whenever something popular happens, and it gets a lot of attention, there's always going to be people that go like, well, I don't understand why popular thing is popular. Am I the only person that doesn't care about Star Wars? Absolutely not. Probably the majority of the population doesn't care about Star Wars or Marvel or Game of Thrones or, you know, Harry Potter or blah, 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 blah. You know, okay, Ruka, what are you doing? Where are you going, buddy? Taking a little seat? That's fine? That's fine, dude. Inevitably, that person, within a month, will tweet about something else that's popular, and they'll be hit with some kind of negativity that's like, well, I don't understand why everybody cares about this. And they have to go, why can't you just let people like things? You know, we're all the architects of our own demise. I am very, like, out of the Star Wars sphere. I will see Episode 9, of course. Why not? Oh, careful. We accidentally played that with one of the coins from our tiers, which is great. I will see Episode 9. That's just because, you know, I love going to the movies. The cracking of the popcorn, the flavor call. Sign me up, dude. But I'm not, you know, as compared to my Marvel fandom, my Star Wars fandom is quite low right now. They burned up too much of my goodwill too fast, which is not to say, by the way, I really like The Last Jedi. And if anything, my disappointment with the trailer, and if you disagree, I don't care, you know? That's cool too. If you agree with me, I don't care. You know, this is just my 2 cents on the subject of this mystical space fantasy universe. Part of my annoyance with the trailer to some extent, or lack of satisfaction compared to most people, is that it seems like, you know, for better or for worse, and a lot of people would probably say it's for worse, The Last Jedi treaded some new ground, and then the trailer for the new movie, which I've forgotten the name of, some of the Skywalker, is just like, hey, remember all that new stuff? Nah, dude, Palpatine's back. Jar Jar Binks is pod racing again, you know? And that's fine, you know, if you want the fan service. Maybe I do. Maybe if 10 years after Endgame, Marvel releases a trailer and you hear Josh Brolin going, you know, did you miss me? I'll be like, it's Thanos, dude! Thanos! Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I've come to the realization, you know, if your opinion on something is just... Well, there's a rule, I guess, that I've never put down into... Well, I guess I've said it a few times on the NLSS, but if you ever have to ask the question, does anybody else, or am I the only one, the answer to your question is always, that you're not the only one. You know, DAE not care about Game of Thrones? Yeah, like literally hundreds of, probably billions of people just obviously don't care about it at all. But like 2 of your friends talk about it now and then, and you're like, am I the only one enlightened enough to instead be watching old reruns of Love, Hina? It's the same with Star Wars, you know? People, here's the, I said, Rob, how do you feel about the new Star Wars trailer? I expected him to share my viewpoint that the filmmakers are cowards. Instead, he started talking to me about the canon and, well, who would trust Kylo Ren, you know, in... The whole thing with Sith is that they're meant to deceive, and I don't understand. And I went, you know what? I've accidentally opened Pandora's box here. That's my cue to leave. You're entitled to your opinion, Robert. Not even that I disagree with you. We're just engaging with the discussion on, you know, 2 different axes here, and that's fine too. What I did not do is go to Twitter and go, man, people are nerds. You know, let them enjoy. You know, I don't. You might think that I get sucked into every media universe. That's not true. I have no fondness whatsoever for the Harry Potter films. Or books, for that matter. I'll tell you the same story. And this is why this stuff cuts so close to home for me. But I'll tell you the story of why I'm not into Harry Potter. In 5th grade, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone came out. And I read it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like pretty good. But I don't see what all the fuss is about. I thought I was smarter than the book series. And then as it got increasingly popular, my opinion was only that much more galvanized because I got attention for not finding popular good thing good at all, actually. By the way, I've been slightly vindicated by J.K. Rowling's modern antics, but simultaneously, that doesn't mean that what was released back in the day was not good. I was immature and thought I was smarter than something by virtue of basically deliberately disliking it and then being like, why doesn't anybody understand me? Then like, you know, a month later, I'd be like, hey, did you guys listen to this new Destroyer album? People would be like, it sucks. And I'd be like, why can't we just let people like? I don't understand. When did we become allergic to letting people like things? You get the idea. You know, everybody's into their own. Everybody's up their own butt about something, you know? I'm learning to live with it. Definitely the first thing that I got that lesson with was music. You know, when I was younger and probably through to like my late teens, a person's coolness for me was 100% defined by the music that they liked. Oh, this person listens to, you know, Coldplay. Wow, they're like an idiot. It's a bad habit, dude. Now, do I like Coldplay? No, I find their music, I find some of it palatable, and I find some of it simple and a little boring. Safe is another word that I would use. But so what? You know, a lot of the stuff that I listen to, people will be like, that's safe. You know? Why don't you listen to Merzbow? A lot of the stuff that I listen to, people will be like, that's incomprehensible. And I'd be like, I know, that's the point. It's soft as snow, but warm inside, off of My Bloody Valentine's first album. If you got that without the annotation, you're complimenting both yourself and me, because I didn't know that my mouth bass was so good. Yo, this is pretty solid. You know, I think we should get rid of one of these, and I hate to say it, but I think it should be Blue Candle. And instead, roll Book of Shadows for some invincibility. You know, judging somebody by, judging someone exclusively by the taste of their media preferences, you know, films, TV, etc., is a very immature way of thinking. I'm being sincere with you. How do you judge people? Well, you know, their actions in public is the one that I always default to. But even that, you always got to consider context. I know it's not the nice answer. When everything was much simpler when I was 16 years old. And I'd be like, oh, this person doesn't listen to Wolf Parade? Sorry, no room in my life. But now, you know, you like what you like. Like, I listened to that Lil Nas X song, Old Town Road. I got my, yeah, you know, the horses in the back. Look, I'm a little bit older than probably some of the people watching this, and the genre of rap slash country has left me behind. But I listened to it and I was like, you know what? It's catchy, but it's not really for me. That being said, I mean, part of it is motivated by self-interest. Let me finish what I was going to say first, which is like, what I did not do is go on Twitter and go, am I the only person who doesn't like this song? Instead, what I do now is I keep my even mildly controversial opinions to myself or say them on the show. And again, dude, honestly, no. That would just ruin the enjoyment of the run right there. It's out of self-interest. I feel like a lot of people who don't enjoy Twitter and think Twitter sucks are correct. I'm going to start right there. Twitter amplifies bad news, for sure. It also amplifies bad takes. So, you know, you get introduced to more idiots than I, knew existed on planet Earth, just by virtue of, the outreach of the program. And I'm not talking about, you might think like, oh, he's an idiot because he disagrees with you politically. No, I'm talking about people that are genuinely like, I don't want to go too far, but people who are like, Ted Bundy isn't dead. Ted Bundy replaced George W. Bush. George W. Bush was executed in his stead, and then Ted Bundy became president, which I only recently found out is a quote-unquote real, with 8 quotation marks, conspiracy theory. Never. I was talking about it. Who was I? It was on the NLSS, I guess. Where like, or maybe I don't know. Where was it? It was with Mathis. Yeah, that's right. Before our recording session, and we were like, never realized. I don't know about you guys, but I had like a couple kooky family friends growing up. You'd be like, majority of my parents and grandparents' friends are like, normal, well-adjusted adults. A couple of them are like governments putting stuff in the water to control your mind. And you were just like, that's Gerald. He's a little different, but, he's harmless. Now that the internet has allowed that sort of attitude to... Let's not use Emperor. We're so far ahead here. Now, those people have found each other on the internet and begun to organize and started bringing measles back across North America and the rest of the world as well. Now it's a little bit less harmless, but simultaneously, all I'm saying is whenever people are like, I think Twitter is making me lose faith in humanity. I'm like, dude, I get it. But I also think some people do it to themselves by putting dumb opinions out there. What do you think, Ruka? Not even dumb opinions, but just opinions that are like maybe even smart, but likely to lead to some dissent, You shouldn't just tweet stuff that people agree with, I suppose, if you consider it a compromise of your basic human integrity. Yo, this run is incredible, dude. But simultaneously, you should also recognize, is this the right time? And am I the right person to do this? Like, if you're a climatologist and you're like, hey, check out this data that I got from the Arctic, ice coring experiments we've done. By the way, we gotta act fast. Please continue to get that data out there. If you're like, Empire Strikes Back is actually bad, and then when 4 people are like, no, you go, wow, didn't expect this to take off. Maybe you've done that to yourself. Maybe you've ruined your own day through a habit that is breakable, as someone who's broken that habit myself. Let me tell you, dude. I noticed, and I apparently it's going to be a Twitter episode, but I noticed that, I don't get tweeted that much negative stuff. I'll be clear, a lot of people get it way worse on Twitter than I do. The most I ever get is people being like, hey, you suck at this game. And I'm like, dude, you're tell me something I don't know. But, let me tell you, the way I determine if that person gets to keep sending tweets to me is I take what I would describe as a well-balanced look at the rest of their online presence on the Twitter.com platform. If they tweeted me and said, hey, dude, you suck at this game, lol, get owned. And then I look at the rest of their Twitter account, and one thing you see more than anything else, and it's sad. It's sad enough that I almost don't even want to bring it up. But people will tweet you some really, and This might make me seem mean, which is unfair to me. But, you know, they'll tweet you some stuff that is pretty nasty. You know, is offensive, at least. And then when you look at their Twitter account, half of their tweets are like, I'm so depressed. I don't look at that tweet and go like, serves you right. I really don't. But I do look at that tweet and go like, you know, A, I feel for you. I am sympathetic. But I'm not a big enough man to be like, now I get it. I do think to some extent, maybe, you know, examine your own behavior and determine how perhaps that's also part of the vicious cycle that you appear to be invested in here simultaneously. You know, I am sympathetic to it, for real. It doesn't give you a license to treat other people like garbage and then use it as a shield to make yourself immune to the consequences of your actions, I guess. That's my 2 cents on the subject. It'd be different, you know, if it's a friend of yours and they treat you like garbage and then you're like, dude, why'd you treat me like garbage? And they go, yeah, I'm just really sad. You'd be like, oh, dude, let's talk about it. But when it's a stranger, you go, muted, and it's beautiful. It's just a wonderful feature. But sometimes people will tweet me like something that seems a little bit offensive at first glance, and then I go look at the rest of their Twitter account, and they're tweeting other people with smiley faces and stuff like that, and I go, you know what? Maybe the problem is with me. Maybe I read it expecting to be offended, and as a result, I got what I was looking for, you know? Online's weird because it's not even really online anymore. It's like the real world. You know, we gotta be nicer to each other. It would be good, for sure, if people would be nicer to each other, but simultaneously, like, on top of all this, you know, it's like it's not gonna happen, probably. I don't know, because I've been in the same boat, you know. I've publicly, you know, many years in the past been like, we should all be nicer to each other, and people were like, I admire your sentiment, but it's never gonna happen. And you're like, you know, ye of little faith. And then here we are several years later, and I'm like, you know what, you're right, but still, you know, I guess it's a noble sentiment. Yo, this has been, hey, let's be real, that was not really worth it, I guess, here. Let's be real, this is just an unbelievably, extremely great run, the likes of which we're very rarely gonna see ever again, perhaps, for the next dozen or so recording attempts. Probably more than a dozen, I guess. That's only 2 weeks. So I'm enjoying it while it lasts. I enjoy a 22-minute Isaac run. That's a dream come true. Not because it's short, but because it implies the power involved. You know what I mean? But also, it does allow me to get to the other stuff I got on my to-do list slightly faster. No offense to Isaac. Dude, I'm stoked. I feel like I'm in a really good place when it comes to Isaac right now, you know? We've been busting out, you know, double-digit sort of stuff for a while now. I feel like, you know, barring catastrophe, we got a good chance to get to... really, like... My, what streak would make me content? Not overjoyed, but content? 30-31, you know? A full month of wins. Usually there's going to be a couple runs in there that were probably, you know, 50-50 or, you know, let's be more realistic, 75-25 maybe. But to make those work, you know, it makes for some enjoyable entertainment. To be fair, we have had a lot of relatively easy runs on the track so far, but no complaints here, dude. No complaints here. I would just like you to thank you. Much appreciated. Didn't even lose Crown of Light here. And I will not be going to the Delirium floor because I hate it. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!